Jai Gurudev.
ॐ ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादराय सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं चैव ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। जय गुरुदेव। We'll begin from the 11th verse. ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहम् मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः। Ye, those who yatha, in whatever way, mam, me, prapadyante, worship, tatha eva, indeed in the same way, aham, I, tan, them, bhajami, bless, partha, O Arjuna, manushyaha, people, sarvashaha, in all ways, mama, my, vartma, path, anuvartante, follow. Those who worship me, let me just read the full. ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तथा एव अहं तान् भजामि पार्थ मनुष्याः सर्वशः मम वर्त्मा अनुवर्तन्ते. Those who worship me in whatever way, I bless them in the same way. O Arjuna, people follow my path in all ways. Again, Krishna is talking as Ishvara here. The verse is a very important one because it answers the question about how the Lord is to be worshipped, with what degree of devotion, with what inner commitment, with what purpose, and in what form are the people to worship him. According to Krishna, it is all very simple. I bless them in whatever form they invoke me, according to their karma, according to their prayer. For example, those who want wealth and steal to get it are blessed with a prison sentence. It is as simple as that. So don't blame me. If a devotee worships the Lord in the form of Krishna, that is the form in which the devotee will see the Lord. In other words, seeing the Lord as Krishna is purely subjective, even though this vision is very real to the devotee. Devotees will sometimes say, I saw Krishna yesterday. For a devotee who has been worshipping the Lord in the form of Krishna for a long time, it is possible to visualize the Lord in that form. But this kind of a Lord comes and goes, which means that the vision is bound by time, whereas the person who saw Krishna remains. Does this not mean that the devotee is greater than the Lord who comes and goes? If so, what kind of a Lord is this? And what if the Lord appears in some other form? What if he appears as a Western Lord, coated, booted, and suited? The devotee will become confused. Thus, Krishna says, in whatever form I am worshipped, in that form alone I appeared. As you sow, so shall you reap. Coming back here, it is, see, if a devotee worships the Lord in the form of Krishna, that is the form in which the devotee will see the Lord. In other words, seeing the Lord as Krishna is purely subjective. That is why the avatara is pratibhasika. If you remember the three orders of reality, paramarthika, vyavaharika, and pratibhasika. Pratibhasika is very subjective reality. So therefore, the avatara, Krishna, and all the avatars are actually are pratibhasika satyas. As you sow, so shall you reap. This statement can apply to the purpose as well as to the form. For whatever purpose I am worshipped, that purpose I serve. People usually want only limited results. When they are in distress, for instance, they want relief from that distress. Although this particular verse is with reference to Vedic rituals and prayers, it can also be considered beyond its religious scope. I am available to you as the various resources in the world, the various laws, powers, and possibilities. In whichever form you invoke me, in that form I am going to appear. A person who goes to the gym daily and lifts weights because he or she wants to develop biceps is invoking the Lord in the form of biceps alone and will be blessed with biceps. In other words, the Lord will appear in the form of biceps alone. And if you develop only your left arm, the Lord will bulge out there only. This then is the Lord. The Shruti says that in whatever form people invoke, in that form, the result will come. Therefore, if biceps are the goal you have dedicated yourself and your life to, then biceps will be what you invoke and biceps will be what you get. The goal, the end is always Bhagavan, the Lord, even though the person who has no other goal than biceps may not recognize Bhagavan in this form of biceps. Thus, you will find that in whatever form you invoke, in that form alone, the result will come. As you sow, so shall you reap. In whatever form you invoke the Lord, in the same form, the Lord, the result will come. There is no pagan's prayer, there is only prayer. Although different religions have their own forms of prayer, no one form is more efficacious than another. Regardless of the language used to invoke the Lord is invoked. When tribal people perform a rain dance, for instance, the rain comes. Similarly, when a person performs a certain very elaborate, sophisticated Vedic ritual, the rains do come. When these rituals, be they Vedic or tribal, are performed with Shraddha, with faith and sincerity, there will be rain. Without Shraddha, the rains will not come. The mode can be different, but the result, the phala, is the same. Thus, any form of prayer is as efficacious as any other prayer. This must be understood well, not as tolerance for all for or accommodation of forms of prayer other than one's own, but in terms of simple understanding alone. There is no pagan's prayer, there is only prayer. I don't know what pagan is. One second. Pagan is, especially in historical context, a person holding religious beliefs other than those of the main or recognized religions. The incoming Germanic peoples were pagans. Okay. So when these rituals be they
What is pagan? What is pagan?
that is what I just read now. Pagan is, it is especially used in historical contexts. A person, as a noun, a pagan is a person holding religious beliefs other than those of the main or recognized religions. Sidestepped religion. And as an adjective, it is holding or constituting religious beliefs other than those of the main or recognized religions, a pagan god. It is also relating or adhering to a modern religious movement that seeks to incorporate beliefs or practices from outside the main world religions, especially nature worship, neo-pagan. The winter solstice is a major pagan festival.
Means it's one of the form, we can just say.
Yeah, it is like another religion. It is like a sidestep. Okay. It is like a, a religion alongside the main religions. So there is no pagan's prayer. There is only prayer. So here, Swamiji is actually not differentiating any religion, whatever religion you pray to. That's why he gave the example of the tribal doing the rain dance and rain will come versus doing a very elaborate Vedic ritual, rain will come. But what is important here is the Shraddha and sincerity. In fact, I'm going to share this this message that I got yesterday. One of the teachers had posted it. Gurudev's, one of his knowledge thing, is a sincere and heartfelt cry will never go unanswered. I'll just post it in our own group. It is so in keeping with what we are reading just now. So, when tribal people repeat a prayer in a dialect that does not have a structure, a script or grammar, it may not be understood by us, but it is understood by Bhagavan. Language is there. The people think they have said something and they have. Thus, there is communication between themselves and the Lord, which is all that matters. Even in religions where the believers repeat words in a language unknown to them, It is understood that the Lord understands the language being used. Nothing more is required. Just as when you send telegram, the other person should be able to read it. When you talk to the Lord, he should be able to understand you. A prayer is a feeling expressed in a certain form, in a certain language, the meaning of which you may not even know. But the feeling, the intention is definitely there. And this is what is conveyed to the Lord in prayer. As for the words of the prayer themselves, the Lord knows all languages. All you have to do is express what you have to express. This is not religious accommodation. It is the simple understanding of what prayer is, what Ishvara is. No expansiveness of heart is required here, nor do you need to be a great sadhu or saint. Understanding the nature of prayer is not to be confused with how each religion defines God, which is where all kinds of problems arise. When it comes to real issues, concepts, and so on, there are real problems, but these have nothing to do with prayer. The real issues are, what is freedom? Why exactly am I praying? Is it for a limited result or for some other reason? If moksha is what I want, then there is something to be understood. That you are the whole is a fact, not a belief, and is entirely different from what is being said by the various religions of the world. Because it is a fact, it is to be understood quietly, which has nothing to do with your commitment to religion as such or to one religion in particular.
It is just like baby blabbering, something it will blabber. Mother understands it, you know.
Yeah.
So God, He just understands it. It is
I
your
always had this little doubt that had cropped up. Is Vedanta exclusive to those who study it? As in, is it exclusive to the Hindu Sanatana Dharma? Of course, anyone is welcome to come and read and understand the Vedanta, but I would keep wondering, when we're talking of moksha, then what about those people in the Western world who are not exposed to this knowledge? What about moksha for them? How is liberation for them? But then this kind of gives an answer to that, in the sense that it is whatever they pray, in whatever form he is prayed to, he will bless them. If moksha is what you want, then that is something to be understood.
You see, I think in one of the paragraph, I don't know where it was, 18th chapter only, he had defined the atheist. He has a belief. He will follow everything, like humanitarian principles, but without the concept of Ishvara. See, one paragraph we had read. Without that concept of Ishvara, there are many people, I don't believe in any God, that, this, but they follow so much, all the moral needed, but that concept of Ishvara has to be there, that something is binding us, that. So within themselves, they may not tell that I don't believe, but within themselves, they will be believing in it. No man cannot live without the belief that there is some power which is binding us, which is governing us. That feeling will be there, but to just show off, they say, I don't believe in it.
Yeah, like in this example of this person wanting to develop his biceps, he may be an atheist for all we know, but he has put all his shraddha and faith in the gym to develop his biceps. And therefore, that is what he gets. So the karma phala data, the Ishvara, gives whatever you are praying for. So if you want to have a, a great garden, for instance, and you're putting all your efforts in creating a garden, then that is what he will bless you for, where he'll bless you with. So whether we are praying for a limited result, that is why Gurudev says, if you pray, pray for the highest. Don't pray
Yes.
for, this and this. That was anyway guaranteed. But you use your powers of prayer to seek the highest. Then everything else, if you keep spirituality as your highest priority, then all your other wants, your material, your social wants, everything is taken care of.
See, therefore, we see some actors, they concentrate on the bodybuilding and just to show, no? And they get it. Just for a film, they want to show their very big athletes and all that. That Salman Khan, six packs and all that, they don't know. It is so true.
But the question is, as people being exposed to this knowledge, how much of our time, of our wakeful time, are we dedicating to pursuits which are, should I say, wasteful, versus directing them towards the path of moksha? With that discrimination, I think we should, as sadhaks, develop. That is the discrimination required. Otherwise, we might be spending maybe a major part of our wakeful time praying and seeking things which may not really be useful in the long run. So let's go further. Even those not connected to religion are blessed. What Bhagavan says here is not only with reference to prayer, but applies beyond prayer also. That is, even a person who has no connection to religion is blessed. This includes people who claim not to be religious and those who are critical of religion also. For some people, religion is nothing more than money and power. And for a communist, religion is statism. Whatever religion is for them, in that form alone, they are blessed, meaning they are not condemned. In this verse, Krishna tells Arjuna, all human beings follow me alone. Mama vartma anuvartante manushyaha partha sarvashaha. In other words, whether they know I am the one that is sought after or not, they are on my track alone. At the end of the track, I am always there. They may think a particular destination is their destination, but that is only a lap in their journey. If money or power is their destination, they are still on the road to me, because power and money are also me. Remember, Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, is with me. Power also is with me alone. If you remember, the definition of Bhagavan is the one who has the 6 bhagas: all wealth, all knowledge, all vairagya, all total dispassion, the power to create, the power to sustain and dissolve. All that is Bhagavan. There are different types of wealth, Lakshmi. Those who dedicate their entire lives to health, for example, may enjoy Lakshmi in the form of health. And those who dedicate their lives to acquiring power may gain the power they seek if everything goes well. If their prayers are appropriate and their previous karma, prarabdha karma, is not totally against it, they will have power. Thus Krishna says, whether people ask for small ends or big ends, they are all on my track, whether they know it or not. Everyone wants to be free from feeling small. All people are really seeking identity with the Paramatma, whether they know it or not. They want to be free from being small, which is why they are seekers. Everyone is a seeker of this freedom. Seeking fullness is no different from seeking freedom from being small. They are one and the same. Furthermore, to say you are seeking fullness is not really true because you do not really know what fullness is. Whereas you definitely know what smallness is, and you want to be free of this smallness. Statism is the practice or doctrine of giving a centralized government control over economic planning and policy. This is the meaning of the communist. Freedom from being small is what is meant by fullness, purnatva. Everyone wants to be full, to be happy, even those who drink. If drinking did not give a person some happiness, some sukha, no one would do it. Fullness and happiness is the Lord's very nature. He is Purna Swarupa and Ananda Swarupa. Because all people seek this fullness, happiness, they are on the Lord's track alone, although they may not know it. A person who does not know exactly what he or she is seeking keeps on seeking. As Krishna might have said, they do not know they are seeking me. Therefore, they spend their time seeking some small thing that is of me. This is like wanting to marry someone and marrying his or her little fingernail or piece of hair. What kind of marriage is that? People do not know they're doing the same thing when they seek power, name and fame, quietude, or whatever. They do not know that these ends are nothing more than the nails and hairs of Bhagavan, Krishna the Infinite. Thinking themselves to be separate from him, they seek one aspect alone and exclude everything else. Everything is Bhagavan, and what is excluded by pursuing one aspect alone is also Bhagavan. When you seek power to the exclusion of all else, you are not seeking Bhagavan. Now, when you seek power to the exclusion of all else, you are not seeking Bhagavan. They are on my track alone, but they do not seek me because they do not know they are on my track. If they knew, then the small things would not hold them up along the way. That is, the person who is seeking power, he does not know that he is seeking Bhagavan. So whereas when everything is Bhagavan, whatever you seek, you are actually seeking him. The spiritual path need not be arduous. While traveling to a particular destination, people may enjoy a few things along the way, but they do not lose sight of their destination. Self-knowledge need be no different. The beauty of its pursuit is that not only is the ultimate destination beautiful, but the means to it is also beautiful. It is like driving through the Rockies or going on a pilgrimage in the Himalayas. There are 4 centers of pilgrimage in the Himalayas: Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, and Yamunotri, where a lot of devotees go, this being one of the things to be done in a Hindu's life. Badrinath, to take but one, is situated in a valley of great beauty, and the way to Badrinath is also beautiful. It is often said that the spiritual path is extremely arduous. Arduous is very difficult, but if you really understand what spiritual is, you will find there is nothing arduous about it. What is arduous about constantly hearing that you are fullness, Ananda? How can that be arduous? The spiritual path has also been likened to a razor's edge. Stop not, be very cautious. One wrong step and the fall is great. The higher you go, the farther you fall. If you go to the pinnacle and lose your footing, not even a single bone will remain there to be picked up, it seems. Then, how can the last rites be done for you? But such talk is all based on the assumption that there is something to be achieved. In fact, there is only something to be understood. If the goal is ananda, fullness, happiness, how can the way to the goal be unpleasant? To the extent that you understand, the way is ananda. The path is ananda, and both sides are ananda. There is never a dull moment, just as when you go on a pilgrimage to a mountain. As you proceed along the steep paths, every one of their main turns opens up a new vista, a new valley, a new scene. At one moment, the Ganges will be traveling alongside of you, and at another, she will have left you far behind. Further along, you will again find her right beside you. Sometimes she's down below, sometimes she's playing, sometimes she's roaring. The mountains themselves present new vistas, sometimes bald, sometimes green, sometimes wearing snowy white caps. Similarly, the path to self-knowledge is not an arduous one. The path itself is pleasant, and the end is pleasantness itself. Nor, as one often hears, can the path be described as difficult in the beginning and pleasant later, or unpleasant in the beginning and bitter later on. It is sometimes said that the spiritual path is bitter in the beginning and pleasant later on, while the material path is pleasant in the beginning and bitter later on. But is this really the case? Is not the material path always a problem? In the beginning, later, and in between?
Good, very good. So nice.
All matter is Bhagavan alone. So it's actually bringing to the fact that if you are in the moment, there is nothing unpleasant about it. Although Bhagavan himself says that the Satvika Marg is, the Satvika Sukha is bitter in the beginning and pleasant in the end. What Swamiji is talking of here is not just the goal is Ananda, the means is Ananda, everything around is Ananda. So how then can the path be anything but Ananda? That is completely a bhakta's version of the world, isn't it? All this is bhakti yoga. For him, everything he sees is Ananda. Like just like Prahlada. For Prahlada, he did not even get angry with his father who was trying to kill him. He had that deep sense of seeing Bhagwan everywhere. He could see only Bhagwan everywhere.
Hari Om, I would love to quote here even Mirabai. When she was presented with the poison, the people around him said, Mira, can't you see it is completely black, hala, 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 vish. Then she's just laughing and saying, you don't know my Kana is black, so his Charnamrit will be black. So, I mean, that was the pinnacle of her devotion, that it is Charnamrit. And that's why because he is Shyam, it is Shyam. It is not Vish. And she took it, and God made it a point that it really turned into Charnamrit only, not the Halahal Vish.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I think that's why they say bhakti is as important as knowledge. Because unless you have bhakti, you cannot really, otherwise knowledge is very dry without bhakti. You may have knowledge about how to reach the path, but without this, without devotion, That is why
Knowledge will lead to bhakti, and through bhakti also we will get knowledge. Both are them.
yeah, they are like two wings of the
Yes, actually, we need it.
the
You need
sadhak
it.
who's striving for moksha. He requires two wings to fly. One is knowledge and the other is bhakti.
Bhakti is a must. It will come automatically when you are full in the knowledge. Bhakti will automatically come. Without bhakti, there is no knowledge at all. See, if you love mathematics, then only you will learn also. You should have some love for that.
Yeah.
That is what it is. I want to go to somewhere and I want to see Switzerland. Then I start looking at it, how Switzerland is, and I start loving it. Then I go there and love it. Then only I can find it also. Where I have to find, where I have to go, and all that. So a love is needed. Love is bhakti.
I think the inherent quality in this is Shraddha, because there have been experiments conducted in America where they told a person who was given the death sentence that instead of being, he was put on an electric chair, but was told that instead of being electrocuted, he was going to be given a snake's venom so that he would not suffer so much. It would simply work on him. And there was no snake venom given to him. He was given distilled water, and yet he died because he had so much of faith in the words of the person who had told him that this is snake's venom. So, for Mirabai to be considered it to be Charnamrut, it is a question of Shraddha that she had in her Shyam. So, in opposite is also true. Like that came to that fellow, though distilled water was injected. Shraddha is an inherent part of the devotion. I think from sadhak to bhakt, the conversion takes place only because we find that the knowledge has been useful to us in our practical life, and therefore we develop a devotion for the master, and we have complete faith in him, and that is when grace starts flowing more, and that is how the conversion takes place from a sadhak to a bhakt, from a disciple to a devotee.
So beautiful.
Is it
That
called the
Shraddha
placebo effect? Placebo effect, it is called, right? Giving injection of distilled water.
Yes, to a certain extent, that is also true. Placebos are usually used to cure people without any medication. In a trial group, when when a trial is being conducted, one group gets the medicine, the new medicine, and the other group is given a placebo, and then with the same parameters of physical health. And then the new medicine is tested as to how much of effective it has been. And in certain cases, placebo is also used as a medicine where there are hypochondriac patients who have no ailments, but they imagine ailments. And then placebos, maybe Dr. Brahma would know better about medicine.
Yeah. You're right. In fact, it is very interesting. I was just going through some of the videos in the Mandal Vatika yesterday, and there is one particular person. His name is Anil Seth. He's actually a psychologist of sorts. He was giving a TED talk. I think I will share that TED talk with all of you in the group. He says this. He was talking about what consciousness is and what our perception of reality is. He says it's like a controlled hallucination. It's actually a very deep, he's used a lot of scientific words, but maybe if he's given a few examples wherein they, I'll share that. I think it's better that I share the video later for you to understand rather than kind of explain it here. That will give us an idea as to how our perception is. Exactly, that will explain how what Percy G talked about and what Mirabai, went through, what Prahlada went through. So ultimately, it is our belief. It's our belief system, and like what Percy G rightly said, it is all about our concept. That is why in medicine we have the sick well concept. There are people who are actually very sick medically. If you actually investigate them, you will find that they're having some very serious illness, but they're happy-go-lucky and they feel well amongst well of them. You ask them, how are you? They'll say, I'm feeling very well. Whereas others who are verging on being hypochondriacs, everything is fine with them, but you will find them going from doctor to doctor, getting tests after tests, because they're stuck in their mind and they feel that something is wrong with them. So it is all a matter of our perspective. And coming to that in the same way, all the challenges we find in our life, we have, it comes with ups and downs. If we can look at both the ups and downs as nothing but manifestation of Bhagavan. If you're having a headache, that is also Bhagavan. If you're having a good time, that's Bhagavan. If you, everything is nothing but the divine, then, this, you will not get lost in feeling bad and feeling happy with, you will not go up and down. It's not like a, like a roller coaster ride. It's a smooth ride, isn't it? I'm actually reminded of what Rajima said once. She had very high fever and it was not getting down with any medicines. And then the family had to go somewhere. Then she said, no, you leave me. You people go along and I want to rest. And then suddenly it realized she was trying to fight the fever with all of this. And then she got this realization that when everything is Bhagwan, everything is Krishna, then isn't this, she specifically was talking about Skanda Shashti. I think there's a Murugan prayer where everything, poison is Murugan, Amrit is Murugan, everything is Murugan. So it suddenly the realization dawned on her that even this fever is a manifestation of Bhagwan. And miraculously, her fever just melted. And by the time her family came back, she was up and about. She was actually lying on the bed for the last few days, but she was up and about doing her work. So it is all a matter of our perspective. In the happiness program, we do this process of seeing the round circles and square pegs, square things, right? When we do the happiness point, it is all about how many circles you're seeing. You're seeing Ananda everywhere. You're seeing Bhagwan everywhere. That is what you'll see. But if you're looking at misery everywhere, that's exactly what you'll find. All matter is Bhagavan alone. The material path does enable me to pick up some joy along the way, but that is only because Bhagavan is everywhere. He is not just in one place. In fact, upon analysis, we find that there is no such thing as material. All matter, all material is nothing but Bhagavan. There is nothing separate from Bhagavan. How then can we say this is material and this is Bhagavan? All these divisions are made by our buddhi, which is a dividing buddhi, a dualistic buddhi. Wherever it goes, the buddhi creates division, spiritual and temporal, profound and profane, because it is basically a dualistic buddhi. It continuously attempts to create dualism. In fact, This divisive buddhi is the very nature of the jiva. Thus Krishna says, whether the people know it or not, whenever they pick up a moment of joy, it is me alone. The only problem is that they rest content, scraping some small joys out of him, when in fact, he is the joy that is their very own nature. Not knowing themselves as Ishvara, the very column of joy, they settle for a small crumb that
The
is
voice
somehow.
is breaking, Brahmana.
Is it?
No,
No,
Suresh.
I am getting it clearly. I
Yeah.
think there must be this thing at Suresh's end.
Maybe because if my internet is unstable, it shows up on my system that
No,
your
no,
internet is
here,
unstable.
Brahma, for us.
Yeah. Maybe you can check your internet connection, Suresh. So then, thus Krishna says, whether the people know it or not, whenever they pick up a moment of joy, it is me alone. The only problem is that they rest content, scraping some small joys out of him, when in fact, he is the joy that is their very own nature. Not knowing themselves as Ishvara, the very column of joy, they settle for a small crumb that is somehow escaped from out of themselves. This, Krishna says, is a tragedy. The tragedy is not that Ishvara denies the people anything, but because they do not see their identity with him. Still, Krishna says, they are on my track. There is nothing to worry about. They will come to me eventually because until they become full, they will not stop seeking. No one is going to settle for anything less than fullness. No one is away from me. In the next verse, Krishna explains that the reason people do not come to him is because of their fascination with quick results. Kankshantah karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Karmanam of actions, siddhim, the result, kankshantaha, desiring, iha, here in this world, devataha, gods, yajante, they worship, he, because, manushe loke, in the human world, karmaja, born of action, siddhihi, result, kshipram, quickly, bhavati, comes. Karmanam siddhim kankshantaha, iha devataha yajante, he, manushe loke, karmaja siddhihi kshipram bhavati. Desiring the result of actions here in this world, they worship the gods. For in the human world, result born of action comes very quickly. Krishna had said earlier that many people had come to him, meaning that they had discovered their identity with him. But why do not all people come to him? Does he prefer only some people and leave the others out? Does the Lord have such ragas and dveshas? If he does, then he is no different than anyone else. How do you invoke the Lord is your choice. How you invoke the Lord is your choice. Krishna responds to this question by saying that he denies nothing to anyone. If, as a jiva, a person chooses to have only so much within Ishvara's creation, only that much he or she will get. Even his greatest devotees are blessed by him in the form in which they invoke him, the Lord being impartial in every way. I'm just reminded of when we go to the ashram to be with Gurudev, there can be two different kinds of people. One person might a person might want to be seen by Gurudev, to be close to him, and that Gurudev should see him. But whereas another person is just very happy just being in the ashram, being in his presence. Whether or not Gurudev's eyes fall on him. So who do you think will be very happy? The person who is very keen on Gurudev's eyes falling on him, or the person who is just happy, just being in Gurudev's presence? So it is what we seek. What are we choosing to seek? Because the person who is happy in his presence is already so full, so happy. Whereas the person who is hankering, who is very feverish that Gurudev's eyes should fall on him, is so unhappy, so unsettled.
I was just reminded when you said that Guruji is coming to Hyderabad and you might be able to see. I was very happy, as if I'm going to see him.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
That is true. Isn't it? So that's why I think, I don't remember whether it was Kashi Bhaiya or Dinesh Bhaiya had said, when you go for darshan, darshan means you seeing Lord or seeing Gurudev. It is not Guru's darshan of you. He does not need darshan of you. You need his darshan. This means that the form in which you invoke the Lord becomes the Lord for you. If you invoke the Lord as a deity, Indra, for example, then the Lord is Indra. If you invoke him as the giver of a particular result of action, then he becomes that Devata, that deity. He can even be invoked as Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, or any planet, which is done in relation to a person's horoscope. Particular planets in particular locations have been found to indicate certain problems or situations for the person. Here, Ishvara is invoked as the planet itself, the Prarabdha Karma Adhishtana Devata, the presiding deity of the Prarabdha Karma. All such invocations are possible only because the Lord is available in whatever purpose he is invoked, the purpose being served by the invocation itself. Even people who have nothing to do with the Vedas get results. Rank materialists, for example, interested only in money and power, definitely get results. We also find that without religion, Russia and China are surviving. Previously, they survived with religion, and now without religion, they are surviving. Perhaps even better. Rituals and prayers have no meaning whatsoever to them. An ideal has become their religion. They are devotees of the state. For them, the state is God. Communism is nothing but statism. That is, the state is more important than the individual. Everything belongs to the state and nothing belongs to the person. Whatever is there is to be shared by all. The idea itself is good, no doubt. However, to enforce it, individual freedom is destroyed. Anyone who raises his or her voice against the system is either prevented from speaking altogether or is sent where he or she cannot be heard by other human beings. Thus, individuals do not count at all. For those who hold this particular ideology, the state becomes God. Of course, such people will not call it God, but this is what God is for them. Why do people misplace God like this? Why do they not become mumukshus and go after liberation or freedom? Because they are unable to see beyond the immediate results that they see here in the world. And to gain those results, they worship different deities, Devataha Yajante, which can be anything, money, power, biceps, and so on. Desiring the results of various forms of action, Kankshantaha Karmanam Siddhim, people invoke these various deities. They do not invoke Parameshwara, the total as such. They don't seek me. They don't go after me. They don't want to know me. They want only to have these small results that they can see. They are bhaktas, all right, but they worship me as small deities alone, says Krishna. This is why Nana has said, you know, this is also the point of Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, where if you're worshipping that the one that is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma, you're worshipping that Parameshwara, then your efforts and your prayers are directed to the ultimate, right? That is the meaning. Now I understand why Nana had mentioned, although worshipping worshipping him in any form is ultimately going to him, but if you can worship him in the form of the Advaita, of An Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, then there are very many chances of you becoming that, of you realizing that. Otherwise, we'll end up only getting our limited ends. And why do they do this? Because having doership, kartritva, they think, I am an independent person capable of doing what is necessary to get certain results. Only human beings have this capacity to choose action based on this kartritva, this sense of doership. Animals do not have this sense, nor do the devas. They have only enjoyership, bhoktritva. People want immediate results. The idea here is that people want immediate results. They do not want to wait. They see that here in this world, the result of or accomplishment born out of any karma takes place immediately. Many young people do not complete college because of the desire for a more immediate result, even though they are encouraged by their parents and older members of society to struggle for a few years so that they can enjoy a better life later. Because a young man plays a guitar, he may think he's a musician. Seeing others who have become very popular and are making a lot of money, he wants to do the same. Therefore, going to college does not interest him. He even draws his father's attention to those people who became successful and made a lot of money with very little or no formal schooling whatsoever. Of course, he fails to mention those who did not educate themselves and are rotting in the streets. Instead, he will point to a particular uncle who did not go to school, but who happened to be at the right place at the right time and made some money. He then married a woman who also had some money and bought a certain piece of property, which escalated in value merely because someone decided to build a shopping mall in that very location. Young people do not want to study because they want quick results, or they may only pretend to be interested in music or electronics because, in fact, they are not interested in anything. Still, other young people may want to do nothing more than travel to faraway places with a pack on their back. Those people who have interrupted their studies for quick results find it very difficult to resume studying later because they lack the necessary discipline. In every university campus, there are people in their 40s and 50s struggling to complete college degrees. Since these people obviously have gained a value for education, why do young people not want to study? Because, like these older people before them, they go for quick results, immediate success, without really knowing what they want in life. This then is what is meant by people invoking small deities, whether they are devotees or not, the deities of money, power, and so on. The desire for quick money is what makes a person deal in drugs and buy lottery tickets. If at all a person prays, he or she does so at the time of buying a lottery ticket. Oh Lord, please let this be the winning number. Is the Lord really impartial? Therefore, Krishna is saying here, don't blame me. Don't say that I'm partial and that because of my likes and dislikes, all these things happen to people. But his statement can still be questioned based on the seemingly unjust differences we see among different types of people. If, as Krishna says, he is the author of the world, Srishtikarta, the one from whom everything has come, then ultimately he is the author of all the people in the world. Why then has he placed some people in elevated positions and others in lowly positions? Why, in the Vedic context, is one person called a Brahmana, another a Kshatriya, yet another a Vaishya, and still another a Shudra? How is it that there are such differences in the world? The Brahmanas have their own position in society, as do each of the others. There is a certain order, a hierarchy, wherein one group of people seems to be superior to another, and some people have no place in the system at all. As the author of this world, is Ishvara not responsible for all these differences? And if he is responsible, he must certainly have a problem, the blemish of partiality. Why else would he put a silver spoon in the mouth of one person, a gold spoon in the mouth of another, a platinum spoon in the mouth of yet another, and no spoon at all, not even a plastic one, in the mouth of still others? And these are people born with no mouths at all. And there are people born with no mouths at all. Why does Ishvara do these kinds of things? If this question cannot be asked and answered, why bother about God at all? It is not enough to say, this simply means that God does whatever he does. And because he is God, no one can question him. Well, he may be God, but I am the sufferer. First you tell me he made me, and then you say he knows my problems better than I do. How? I am the one who was born crippled and cannot see or hear. God seems not to know that being crippled, blind, and deaf is not a pleasant life, since he made me this way. But I know better. If God knew what I know, he would definitely have made me differently. And since he didn't, isn't he just another defective manufacturer? If you buy a car in which even the slightest flaw is detected, there is such a furor made about it that the manufacturer calls back all the cars of that particular design, if only to change one bolt in the brake system. But as a manufacturer, Ishvara cannot be questioned, it seems. Nor does he call back anything. He does not say, I am so sorry. That was a hurried job. Please send it back to me and I will give you new legs or whatever. Instead, the person has to suffer through life without legs, eyes, ears, and so on. What kind of God is this that sits above us somewhere, having a wonderful life, while some unfortunate person has to inch along the ground because he or she is lame? And if God made such a crippled person, the least he could do is to put the person in America where motorized wheelchairs are readily available. Even this much he does not do for the person. How can we look at such differences and say that God is justified in all that he does? What kind of justification is this? You find some people born with parents and others who do not even know who or where their parents are. A child may be born in South Korea to one set of parents and be raised in Vancouver by another set of parents. Everyone thinks he's doing very well, but in fact, he's not, because he's painfully aware that he's noticeably different from his parents and his brothers and sisters. If he had been raised in Korea by his original parents, he would look the same as everyone else and would not have the problems he has growing up in Vancouver. Even though a baby is a baby, adoptions do not really work. Even animals who have been adopted have problems adapting to a new habitat. Why would a baby have to be adopted in the first place? Whether in this country or elsewhere, why should the child not be with his or her own parents? because we do not know where the father and mother are, we say the child is an orphan. If everyone is created by God, can we say an orphan is created by people? No. Again, God seems to be some kind of a sadist. Has God himself said we must follow him? Let me read this para and then we'll discuss. Further, I'm told that not only has God made me, but he has also said that I must follow him. And how do I know this? Someone else tells me. The least God could do is to come and tell me himself. Then this would all mean something to me. In fact, God should tell everyone. Instead, someone tells us that God told him and then asked him to tell us. If God wants me to know this, why does he not tell me himself? Also, another person sometimes comes along saying that God told him that what he told the first person earlier is no longer current, and what we are now going to hear is the latest word from God. This kind of God is someone we would all be better off without, in fact. This kind of God is something we would all be better off without, in fact. If God is something that is to be established, the concept should be a rational one, at least. What is unreasonable cannot be accepted. Thus, the issue being addressed here is valid. If God made all these divisions among people, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, to use the Vedic context, then he must definitely be partial because the Brahmanas seem to be better off. To deal with this concern, Krishna acknowledges that he made them all and at the same time says that he is not to blame. We'll do verse 13 tomorrow. I think we'll do a bit of Manana on what we read today. We can all close our eyes and then just reflect on what was read and what our takeaway is, and each of us can present our takeaways. I think all of us may have had these doubts. Why does God, why are people in Ethiopia given so much hunger? Why is there so much disparity in the world? All that will be answered in verse number 13. He is not to blame. Each one of us creates our own blueprint. We lay out our prarabdha, we lay out our sanchita. And I particularly like that expression where Swamiji talks of instead of marrying the whole person, you're just getting married to his nail or his finger or his foot. So, us seeking for limited results in the world is a similar situation, where we can have the whole, the Purnatva, the whole Parameshwara. We are nothing but him. Instead of seeking that fullness, we are just getting satisfied by having a little scrape here, a little scrape there. And the funny part and the tragedy is that we are happy with that. You pray for a lottery ticket to win, and then you're very happy that it won. Therefore, instead of being an artharthi, being a mumukshu is actually the highest form of being a devotee.
Hariom, it reminds me of Gurudev always says, no, I am here with the whole ocean and you are coming just with a small bucket in your hand with all those small desires.
Right. Very true. And if you remember, there is one video of Gurudev where he talks of the power of the bhakta, the power of a devotee, power of the gopis. For them, even they're so steeped in love that even that moksha is not there. They don't even want liberation. They just want to be around Krishna. And when Krishna says he has a headache and the only way his headache can get better is through the padaduli of the gopikas, they don't mind. They say, take how many ever buckets and buckets of our thing, doesn't matter. So that love is so pure, so simple, yet so profound. So two aspects here. One is to develop that bhakti, seeing God everywhere, in whatever we are, seeing God in everyone around us, in whether animate, inanimate situations, ups and downs in life.
I think for me, it is like going beyond that also. Seeing God as present even in a communist or in an African tribal or our own tribals who may not be doing Vedic rituals. There is such a lot of conversion done by the Christian missionaries, but these tribal people are also nature worshippers. And most of the ancient religions were based on nature worshipping. Like even Sanatana Dharma, like you are looking to the Sun Lord and offering water early in the morning and chanting a mantra. So I think uh, we should see God even in this, whatever be their belief system, whether they are atheists as communists or whether they are pagan worshippers or whatever, or tribals. See God in everybody. Why want to change them? Like there is so much of effort being made now to bring the tribal people who have been converted by the missionaries back to Sanatan Dharma. They had their own religious practices, their own dialects in which they would, whatever. Like it was said somewhere earlier in this chapter, that to bring the rains, they did the rain dance in their own dialect. They would dance around the fire and the rain would happen. It was not necessary for an elaborate Vedic ritual to be performed only to get the rains. That also brought rains. So accepting everyone as they are, that God is present in them too. No need to change anybody. Just accept them the way they are. Jai Gurudev.
Yeah, that is very true. But uh, it is in Sanatan Dharma, it is said everything is inclusive. Whereas in other religion, they said it is only my way. They may not have not got the real meaning of it, but their thinking is not all inclusive. That's the difference, I feel. Otherwise,
Yeah, but even accept that difference as a difference, accept it. That is the belief system that they are born with. An atheist will be having his belief system imposed upon him by his parents, by his state, etc. Just accept it the way it is. It's okay. There is no right or wrong in that. Why should they change over to our way of thinking? is what I'm saying. Just accept that it is their belief system.
Which is true, but if you see how Shankaracharya, what he did, he at that point when he was when he came into existence, there was Buddhism that was rampant. He had to revive Sanatana Dharma. Because see, if you remember the first few verses of chapter 4, along with time, this knowledge that Krishna had given to Vivaswan, Vivaswan gave to his son Manu, Manu gave to Ikshvaku, had kind of got diluted, had got distorted with time. So in order to revive the legacy of Sanatana Dharma, I think it is important to uphold it, to number one, re-establish it. And see, to begin with, these tribals were themselves. I mean, if these Christian missionaries did not convert them to Christianity, there would not have been any problem. This Garvapasi and all that is only to ensure that this rampant conversion into Christianity is stalled. We do not want a world where Sanatana Dharma is lost. So it is our bounden duty to uphold it. And like what I think Rinal said, maybe we're going a little deviant from what is to be discussed here, but because all other religions are they do not talk of Vedanta as such. No doubt, prayer as a Christian, even if you pray like a Christian or a Muslim or a Sikh or a Parsi, doesn't matter how in what manner you're praying, prayers will ultimately reach Bhagwan. But that does not mean we should not take steps to protect the Dharma. It is our bounden duty to not just follow the Dharma in its purity, maintain its purity, and ensure that it is handed down. That is our responsibility, isn't it?
And as a result of this separatedness, what would happen to the society if there are different sects which are going to feel that I'm the best and only through my religion it is? What would happen to the society if they are not inclusive, each one thinking it separately? That is the concern. Otherwise, they are and when we know
that is
when
why war has happened, no? All the wars that have happened in the earlier times, right up till World War II, there was a lot of these crusade wars, Anglo-Saxon wars have taken place. The crusades were all about that. Wars have taken place because of religious differences, be it the religion of that time.
See, honestly, Shankaracharya could have just become a sannyasi, gone to the Himalayas, and just done his job there. He whatever, prayed, meditate, do, and stay in that enlightened state. What Gurudev said, if I remember right, he says it is only the bravest of the lot that actually come and create a revolution, create a renaissance, so to say. And that's exactly what Gurudev is doing right now. He's doing it in such a beautiful manner where people, when people come, flock to him from all kinds of religions. He is not doing any conversion. He's just exposing them, giving them a taste and letting them experience this profound knowledge and wisdom. But in a very subtle manner.
Exactly, that is what I'm stating, that he's in acceptance of them the way they are. And because he's accepting them the way they are coming to him.
Correct.
First, his acceptance is there.
Which is there, but he's also on the sidelines. He is also parallelly re-establishing Veda Agama. It's not just this, isn't it? He is promoting, he's re-establishing all the rituals, all those that are mentioned in the Vedas. So he's doing both simultaneously. Gurudev is very shrewd. He has in fact gone against so many people There were so many eyebrows raised when he opened up the Upanayanam for women, for all kinds of castes. It was a big furor then. So he has broken concepts. He has broken concepts and he's gone further ahead. I think even there's another instance, I can't remember what it was. Yeah, Sahaj Samadhi meditation, for instance, Mantropadesh, when you're giving mantra, how can you give mantra to everyone like that? It is to be kept secret. But he said, no, this is the need of the hour. So he started Sahaj, and Sahaj is one of our, basic courses. You don't require any prerequisite for that.
Yeah, Sudarshan Kriya, he opened it to everyone.
So what he's doing is a very, very shrewdly is doing it in such a beautiful manner. He is re-establishing this dharma. But again, our attention and focus here is, of course, to understand that in whatever way we pray, the prayer result is given. In whatever manner we seek the Lord, He results, He answers that. Whether you're praying for biceps, or you're praying for a car, or you're praying for a house or a better job, or you're praying for money, power, or you're praying for the highest. That
He
is a choice.
understands the love of language of love and Shraddha.
That's it. It is our intention. It is not how well it is not the pomp and show that matters. It is not how elaborate the ritual is. Just a simple, sincere prayer from the heart is enough to be heard by the Lord, and that will be answered. I think the concept of prayer is more profound in what was read in the beginning. That was really so very beautiful. And of course, the last few paragraphs were all about questioning the Swamiji is presenting the argumentative person who questions the God, who questions the credibility of God in creating so much of division and so much of disparity.
Yeah, sometime back we must have all had these questions, right? Or even now also people keep asking, and I was saying, oh yes, yeah, even I did this,
Right.
Actually, I feel that because of Shankaracharya, this whole knowledge got revived. And just for one example, Brahmaraji, whatever she has said, it is exactly the way it is, very much. And if we don't protect this knowledge, then it will not take much time, because most of it is like Advaitic, non-dual. So it is very intangible kind of thing. So it's very easy to get lost with this superficial convergence and my this thing is best, and killing each other, going up to the burning of all the scriptures and all. One example I want to share here, in Kashmir. Actually, if we listen to all those old Puranas, Devi Puran and all, we have heard Kashmir Pura Vasini. So Kashmir is not something in last 100, 200 years that name has come. Kashmir is very as old as our this thing, Sanatan Dharma. So, but see, in last few years, just 35, 40, 50 years, everything has gone. Now it is very difficult to believe also that it was the seat of all the Vedantic knowledge, Advait knowledge. Shaivism was it is the seat of the Shaivism that Kashmir is. And from there, that real Kashmiri Rahasya and all beautiful knowledge has come up, even the Vignan Bhairav. But because of this Gurudev, we are able to get that knowledge in the modern, modern days. So we really need to protect it. We cannot just give it away like that. Then wo sara gyan, that whole thing will go in the background and we may get lost. It get lost. तो बहुत जरूरी है इसको revive करना, and we should see to it that conversions are stopped. You cannot forcefully change. That is why we accepted them. No, itna sara different. There are so many ways we can reach to the God. So two more ways. One more addition to this thing is Islam. One more addition to it is Christian. It's okay. So we allowed them to come and settle here and propagate. But their way is, it is only my way or highway. Nothing in between. So the problems have arisen. No, like that they have conquered the countries after countries. Like nobody will believe after 500 years that there existed called one country Persia. But see today, what is the condition because of this attitude of Islamic mindset? So we need to protect that. What I feel, it is a real issue at the ground level. The way Kashmiris
I
are
think
facing.
I think Gurudev is doing the same Shankaracharya in a subtle way without raising any question. He is just giving the knowledge and everyone is attracted. He is not even telling that it is my knowledge, it is Sanatan knowledge. Just in English, simple words, just follow this, follow that. That's it. Nothing more than that. But he is giving such a beautiful knowledge. We have to commend Guruji. Really, I tell you, whatever way I think Guruji, he is an avatar only. He is giving he is reviving that Sanatana Dharma in a very, very, very uniform way, not forcing or not this way. In natural way, he is bringing everyone into this fold. Even not telling also. Such a beautiful, I think we are so lucky to have such a Guru with us today. I tell you, he is reviving the Sanatan Dharma in a very subtle way, which is an uniform Dharma, not that it is not my Dharma, your Dharma, no. It is universal Dharma. He is doing that. Wonderful, wonderful job. I think we are lucky to be born in his period. Very, very lucky. And we have to be lucky to be with him. We are lucky to be with him and spreading his very, very subtle way of telling all this Vedanta in one small basic course. Whole Vedanta, the whole gist of the, without explaining, but practical knowledge. And getting that Ananda, that after Sudarshan Kriya, what we get is, that is what is Sachitananda. We are going into that state only. And when you are reaching there, you don't see back. Such a beautiful thing. Wow, wonderful. And he knows where to tell and what to tell and what, same thing, what we are teaching it when he started, the same syllabus is going on with the basic course, the advanced course, this course, that course. Wonderfully, he is just doing that. Single-handedly. Wonderful.
And I think the adharma and the wrongdoings happening because not many people are following dharma. I'm not saying the religion per se, but the teaching, what we are, the universal knowledge, what should be available to people, it is not available. And that is the reason. And I can say the conversion kind of a thing doesn't happen in individual houses also, because I might be telling my children, okay, this is good, this is bad, but I will never force my children to follow something. At least in my house, I have been giving them the opportunities to, doing the courses also, but never I have forced them to follow this only. They are open to this. So conversion kind of a thing doesn't happen in many of the houses. Now also, I feel they are free to decide what they have to follow. So this is the greatest thing I feel in this Sanatan. It is not the religion I feel, but it is the kind of philosophy. If everyone follows, I think many of the problems might be solved.
I'm aware of in the South, especially when a person falls sick and is very critically ill and he requires some operation or some major surgery or something, this Christian whole group comes, they pray, they start by praying. And then after that, they, through their charities, they bring in the money, and that family feels so indebted. And then they say, okay, this is the Christian way, and that nobody from your this thing reached out to you, and we have reached out to you and become Christians. And then there is so much of this thing, you are indebted to them or something, and that is how household transformations have taken place. Even atheists have become Christians. Uh, I mean, I have seen in jail, the Bhagavad Gita has been replaced by, especially during Sonia Gandhi's reign, by the Bible. To see in a jail only Bible, and then we are completely checked before we go in. We are not allowed to take anything inside. Even our mobiles, we have to leave in the outer periphery with the person in charge. And they would come in with their entire drums and their foodstuffs and everything on a Sunday for their Sunday sermon. And I mean, some of these articles could be used even as weapons when they convert a spoon into a weapon. But they were allowed freely to take all these things inside, the entire orchestra, and they would sing Christian carols. Every Sunday, this was happening in jail. This is how they start
Hari Om.
converting people.
Hari Om, Persiji, exactly, you are right. So this is the problem. Accept everyone as they are has definitely that rule comes with a lot of exceptions. This kind of a thing, how is it acceptable? It is not acceptable. And another thing is, you must have known, you are in Maharashtra. During the MBA government, what happened? The two sadhus were lynched.
1 second, Premo, just a
Hmm.
second. Just want to remind all of us that we are 2 minutes beyond time. So if
Yeah,
we can,
I know.
can
I'll
we
finish it. Yeah,
to
like
tomorrow?
yeah, it's okay. I'm only saying, referring it to the Palgar sadhus. What happened? It was out and out the Christian mafia that killed them. These kind of things only create a problem. Otherwise, nobody really bothers which path you follow. And Sanatan Dharma is the only dharma. All other things are path, panth. Dharma nahi, wo panth hai. This is dharma. Hari Om.
Yeah, I know this discussion can go on, but I think we will, respecting time, we will conclude here today and we'll continue.
Sorry, Brahmaraji, प्रेम भैया को वो वीडियो रिमाइंड कराना है, sharing that marriage के लिए था वो. Just a gentle reminder.
I don't know.
Parenting बोल रहे थे, happy parenting का जो मैं बोला था some time ago.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
I think that.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot. I'll send it today. Yeah.
Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
I seek blessings from all of you. Today is my Tithi birthday.
Oh wow, then we'll sing to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we should sing.
Happy
Brahmaraji,
birthday
you
to
sing.
you.
Shubhashaya, Madhuri ji.
Sakhe
धन्यवाद.
Happy birthday.
Tute sarvada mudam prarthayamahe bhavashatayushi Ishvara sada tvam charakshatu punya karmana kirtimarchaya jivanam tava bhavatu sarthakam janmadinamidam ai priya sakhe shanta tute sarvada mudam.
धन्यवाद रमरा
सागर
जी।
में लहर तेरे नाम की. Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So grateful that we are all on the path and this journey. Grateful to
Right.
all of you. Thank you so much.
Celebrate your birthday today, remembering that you are unborn, that you have no
Yes.
birth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank